There are a couple of big changes coming to New World's crafting system, and I want to show you them in the PTR and show how important they actually are. We're going to be looking at the materia system and the crafting / salvaging system, which is pretty important for more ways than one. So let's jump into the PTR and I'll show you. Okay, so we're on the PTR right now, and we'll talk about the materia first because it's probably the easiest to explain. This is what the materia looks like in your inventory. Basically, you get this in three main ways. You get this from your expedition orbs, which are going to be turned into chests in this patch. So let's say you have a mutated orb and it gets changed into a mutated chest. Well, you open that and then you get random materia from any of the mutated dungeons. Okay, if however you have like a Genesis orb, that will get converted into a Genesis chest or cache that will only specifically have Genesis materia in it. So each dungeon has its own materia, right? And that's important because let's say Fury drops from Lazarus, you can't craft the Lazarus stuff using the Genesis materia, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. Anyway, you get it from those chests, but obviously that's just going to be a short-term thing. In the long term, there's two main ways. You can get them from salvaging items from the dungeon. So for example, if I salvage this Fury, I think I would get maybe around 30 materia, right? Because I tried it with a primordial edge. And then the other main way will be running the dungeon. Now I'm not 100% sure how much materia you would get from running the dungeon because it's very hard to run a dungeon on the PTR unless you have like a pre-made group and stuff like that. Okay, but I sort of suspect it's going to be the latter where you get the bulk of your materia because the other two are quite slow. So let me show you. Let's say I go here into the forge, scroll down to, well, I'm going to have a look at Fury, right? Let's see, let's find Fury. I actually just could have searched it, but I'm too late now. So we started, so we'll finish. Fury, right? And you can see we need 5,000 Lazarus materia. Now I've opened up maybe like 50 mutated caches and I've only got that much. Now I can't find my Lazarus orbs on the PTR, so maybe they just don't exist on the PTR, but whatever. Either way, you can see that would take quite a while if I just had to get essentially Lazarus named gear and I kept salvaging it. It would take me ages to get Fury, which is fine. I mean, it shouldn't be quick, but I sort of suspect that running it several times, you'll get enough materia, but it's hard to confirm. But that's all it is. Literally, you take the materia from the dungeon that you want and you can craft the named items. So, you know, Thorp's helmet, stuff like that. All good, all great, lovely idea. Basically meaning that if you miss out on Fury all the time, you really want Fury, well now you can sort of guarantee you'll get Fury if you just keep running the dungeon. Makes sense, it's good. So the next thing relates to crafting, salvaging and expertise. It's sort of all combined and I'm going to explain what I mean, but it's a pretty cool system. So let's jump in again. So salvaging, not the most interesting system in New World. Let's say I just want to salvage these, right? I just salvage them. I'm getting my repair parts, but I'm already full on repair parts. Boring snooze fest, okay? The thing is, there is now a perfect salvage. From what I can work out, there's no indication of a perfect salvage. Like I don't see anything, nothing on the screen tells me. I tried to even turn on my audio because I normally play without audio. I don't hear anything either, right? And even if I do it the old school salvage way, I still don't hear anything. So I would maybe like some kind of cue, maybe just a little visual cue, just a little sparkle somewhere just to tell you you've hit a perfect salvage. But a perfect salvage gives you certain items and I'll show you what they are now. So you'll get items like this, like the infused weapon fragment or infused weapon scraps, right? There's stuff like that, but there's one for like generally everything, okay? Infused armor scraps here, for example. Now, the scraps seem to be not as powerful as the fragments, but there's also different tiers of them. So these are all tier 5, but you will also get them at like lower tier, like tier 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. Well, not 5 obviously is the 5th tier, but you know what I mean. And then what can you do with them? Well, there's a couple of things, and I actually think one of the most important things you can do relates to gypsum. So let's go have a look at this. Now, there are these new infused orbs which use some of the fragments, and these are basically another way of getting your gypsum up. I can convert this, for example, these infused arcane fragments. Well, let's just do it. I can convert this into an infused orb. Then I can use that infused orb to create a new set of the gypsum cast, basically. So these are all the traditional ones where you need the gypsum orbs. But now with these infused orbs, I can now create a double set of them. If I wanted, I could create the gypsum Warhammer cast using this infused orb. And if I wasn't lazy and I could get a gypsum orb, I could do that with the Warhammer as well. Now that's good, one, for expertise when a new weapon comes out. So we're going to be able to like double bump it instead of just like snoozing on it. And it means if you've just hit level 60, you should be able to get your expertise up a little bit quicker. However, I have salvaged quite a lot of items and not quite hit that many perfect salvages. So I don't know the rate of these. It may not be very useful. I think it would sort of need to be a little bit more common, but it's obviously just me on the PTR at the minute, so I can't really confirm that. Now, the other thing that you can do with it is all about crafting. So this time we'll go to the outfitter, right? And there is a new section under salvage scraps. So you can see there's researches and there's extract. So in the research, it's literally pretty simple. You can see I'm going to use the infused armor scraps here, and it's going to give me a massive amount of armoring. And if I wanted, I could make 3 of them. So I'll just make 1 of them right now. Obviously I'm armoring 200 because I'm on the PTR, but yeah, absolutely going to get a massive bump there. All right, all cool. And then you can see you can actually turn some of these fragments into various different levels. Well, actually the fragments go into the like higher tier stuff, so like the legendary stuff like Asmodeum, Runic Leather, Phoenix Weave, whereas the scraps you can just convert them into like Orichalcum, Infused Leather, that kind of stuff, right? Just come over to the Forge to show you that you can indeed get Asmodeum. Keep in mind that you will actually need some Azoth as well, but Azoth is so easy to get at this point, it's not really that relevant. But and also I need 2 of these fragments and I would get some Asmodeum. Because I don't have enough, I can't actually tell you how much is in there, but it's going to be worth it. There's no point using that anywhere else, as long as you're not using it for like expertise or something like that. Or you don't want to use them to level up because it's the scraps, okay? In simple terms, that's probably the easiest I can explain it, but I think there's some pretty cool systems there. I really like the fact that you can effectively get 2 expertise bumps if you are a fresh level 60 from this like gypsum cast and this gypsum infused orb thing. That's good. Then just getting some raw materials through like, oh, I got a fragment, I'm just going to convert it to Asmodeum. That's also good, just gives you a way of getting some easier materials. And then the materia I think is really good as a sort of like fail safe, like, or a bad luck prevention. You know, you run Lazarus all the time but you can't get Fury. Well, now you'll get Fury eventually. I suspect and I hope that you get a lot more materia actually running the expedition, because it didn't seem like very much getting them through either the chests or the salvaging. But that's okay if you get more through the dungeon, but I'll keep an eye out on that when it either hits live or if I ever find a group on the PTR or something like that. But overall, those systems are looking good. That salvaging, I sort of wish there was a little bit of a visual indicator, but I'm happy with it because it just makes salvaging feel less weird and actually sort of semi-useful, which overall I think is good. Anyway, like this video, have a most beautiful day. If you want to support the channel, do consider becoming a member. Goodbye.